Welcome to the Legend Stories. In today's story, we will read about a story of three friends who take the 9:17 p.m. bus to nowhere. The asphalt of Route 9 was a cracked ribbon of grey, forgotten by maps and reclaimed by the woods. Jeet checked his phone. The screen glows harsh against the surrounding ink dark black. It was 9:16 p.m. Beside him, Khalil shifted his weight, his flashlight beam dancing nervously over the rusted guardrails. "It's just a local legend," he whispered, though his voice lacked conviction. "Buses don't run on the roads that lead to dead ends." Exactly at 9:17 p.m., the air grew thick with the smell of ozone and old velvet. A single ember headlight pierced the fog, cutting through the darkness like a searchlight. Jeet grabbed Elara's arm as the massive, boxy silhouette of a vintage transit bus hissed to stop before them. The doors creaked open with a crown of protesting metal, exhaling a draft of air that felt like the inside of a forgotten sealer. Jeet stepped up first, his boots thudding hollowly on the rubber floor mat. He looked towards the driver's seat. There sat Wayne, a man in crisp charcoal uniform, his hands gloved in stark white. Wayne didn't turn his head. He stared straight through the cracked windshield at the empty road ahead, his posture unwaveringly still. He didn't ask for a fare, and he didn't say a word. Inside the bus was a tomb of chrome and cracked leather. Khalil and Elara followed Jeet, the door slamming shut behind them with a heavy thud that made their ears pop. The engine didn't roar, it hummed with a low-frequency vibration that rattled their teeth and made the windows vibrate in their frames. "Look at the ads." Khalil pointed to the faded posters for brands and shows that hadn't existed in the 60 years. Elara sat down in a seat near the front and caught her reflection in the long rear view mirror above the driver. She gasped, clutching the cold metal rail. In the glass, she wasn't alone. When she looked in the glass, she saw a reflection. A woman in a heavy lace veil sat directly behind her, weeping silently into the handkerchief. But when Elara turned her head to look, the seat behind her was empty, covered only in thick, undisturbed layer of dust. The bus lurched forward, but they weren't on Route 9 anymore. Outside the window, Jeet and Khalil watched a sprawling, Victorian-era theatre rose from the swirling mist, its murk glowing with flickering gaslight. "That's the Orpheum," Jeet whispered, pressing his face to the glass. "It burned to the ground in 1924. There's nothing but a parking lot there now." The bus stopped, but no one got off. Instead, the temperature inside plummeted. Clean huddled close to Lara, their breath blooming in thick white clouds. The air felt heavy, as if the bus were submerged deep underwater. "We need to get out," Galen said, his voice trembling. He reached up and pulled the emergency cord, but it came away in his hand like rotten twine, disconnected from everything. At the next stop, a skeleton iron foundry that had been demolished decades prior, the door hissed open again. Jeet watched in horror as a tall shadow figure with no discernible face stepped onto the bus. The figure moved with jerky, unnatural gait, carrying a metal lunch tin that dripped with thick black sludge. The stranger didn't acknowledge them, moving toward the back of the bus. The shadowy figure sat directly across from Elara. She froze, her heart hammering against her ribs. She couldn't smell charred wood and wet earth emanating from the passenger. The figure didn't look at her, but the air around him wrapped like heat over summer pavement. Slowly he reached out to a translucent hand, pointing a long finger toward the front of the bus. Jeet marched toward the front, his courage turning to desperation as the bus sped up into the void. "Hey, stop the bus! Hey, stop the bus!" he shouted at Vane, the bus driver. He reached out to grab the driver's shoulder to force him to listen, but his hand passed right through the charcoal fabric as if it were smoke. Vane finally turned his head, revealing a face. Of smooth, featureless porcelain, lit by the ear green glow of the dashboard. Elara walked up to the front, sensing a strange rhythmic sadness emanating from the driver. She didn't scream. Instead, she reached out and placed her hand on the steering wheel next to his. Suddenly, visions of the city lost history flooded her mind. The great fires, the forgotten neighborhoods, and the people the world choose to ignore. "He isn't taking us away," she whispered to the boys who were his friends. "He's just the only one who remembers." As the first rays of the sun began to bleed over the horizon, the bus dissolved into a cloud of golden dust. Jeet and Elara found themselves standing in the middle of a weed-choked field where Route 9 ended. The bus was gone, and the silence of the morning was absolute. In Elara's hand was a small brass bus token stamped with the year 1932, the only proof that they had really traveled through the past, through the hollow heart of the city's past. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more.